What up? What up? Hope everyone's had a great weekend so far. It's Sunday afternoon. I know the Bengals, Ravens, they played Thursday night. Unfortunately, I was just unable to. I had things going on this weekend, so I couldn't get a video out as soon as I had hoped to. However, I'm doing it from my house here when normally I'm at my in-laws for while we're over there for a family function. So getting it done today. Figured, hey, what the hell? Let's get it done on a Sunday afternoon. When the Bengals aren't playing. Right now, I'm watching a little bit of the Steelers and Chiefs. Right now, as we speak, it is 21-7 right now. The Chiefs have come out like gangbusters and taken care of the Kansas City or the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's quite impressive so far. As for the Bengals, what can you say? Nothing much you can really say. The Bengals come out, look like an unbelievable team for about 27 minutes or so of that first half. I mean, they came out and took it to the Baltimore Ravens, who, it seemed like many of the national media were anointing as the best team to be in the NFL in a long time. But the Bengals came out and showed them, something completely different, and that's what happened here. Bengals, going into the half, they were up 28-14 at the half, 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. After two A.J. Green touchdown receptions from Andy Dalton. One was a 4-yard reception. The other one was 32 yards. And then A.J. Green made it 21-0 at the 13:02 mark of the second quarter off of a 7-yard touchdown pass from Andy Dalton. So Andy Dalton was he was incredible to start off. Looking here, Dalton finished 24-42 for 265 yards and 4 touchdowns. A.J. Green had 3 of those touchdowns, which that's the first time in his career he's had a 3-touchdown game. It's been like in the first half, or in one half, which is just incredible. This team was, they were on fire, and there's nothing much you can really say outside of that. They looked fantastic, offensively, defensively. They came out and they played simply phenomenal. And kind of going through the game summary here and the game notes, there was a couple things that stood out for me. To start off, last week the Bengals' third down efficiency, the Colts were, that's where the Colts were able to take advantage of the Bengals. This time, the Ravens were 7 of 16, so that's 44% on third down. The Bengals did a little bit better job here. The majority of those third downs were in the second half is when they, were able to convert a lot more. The Ravens were 2 for 4 on fourth down. So, again, a couple of those fourth down conversions were, they were in the second half when needed, but, it wasn't, anything, too major. I'm not going to really put a lot of stock into it compared to what I did last week against the Colts. Bengals, on the flip side, were 5 of 13 on third down. Again, the majority of those second half when the Bengals seemed to take their foot off the gas pedal, and they just didn't come out and get it done like many had thought they would throughout the entire game. Again, that's a Marvin Lewis MO right there, is taking your foot off the gas when you have a sizable lead. And 14 points, that's 2-possession game. I felt the Bengals should have come out and really, put their foot right on the neck of the Ravens to really, not give them a chance to get back into it. But again, 5 of 13, 38% on third downs. I don't think that right there should have been a big, a big point there. The Bengals were able to get it done. Then they stepped up when they needed to. The first 4 drives for Baltimore were nothing. They ended up with 0 points and 1 turnover. So it was 3 punts. 2 of those drives were 3 and outs. The first was, 3 and out, punt. Then the next drive, interception. Boom. There you go. 1 play on that. That was the first play, and it was an overthrow right to Jesse Bates, who played it well. That right there, 2 drives right there, and you're in a great spot. And you're putting yourself in a, already, what is it, 5 minutes into the game, you're already at a positive in the turnover ratio. Next 2 drives, Bengals held them to a punt again. And then, so, when it comes down to it, the Bengals ended up punting on their first drive. They were 3 and out. and then they got the interception in which they scored a touchdown. But then after that first punt on the first drive, the Bengals scored 4 straight touchdowns, drives of 4 plays, 5 plays, and then 2 long drives of 12 plays each. Bengals getting it done on the offensively, in both ways, in quick drives, which the couple of those plays were, you're looking at, a 16-yard drive. The other one was the 5-play 80-yard drive, but there was a couple of big plays in that, which I will touch on here in a second. But then, the 5-play 80-yard drive, was a little bit of an exception there compared to the 12-play 72-yard drive and a 12-play 78-yard drive that the Bengals had. Those right there are 2 huge drives that took a lot of time off the clock. Those were not really that much. If you look at it, it was only 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes for each drive. So, right there. But the Bengals were able to, after the first touchdown, after the third touchdown is when Baltimore scored. They went on their 10-play 60 or 10-play 75-yard drive that resulted in a touchdown. Bengals were up 21-7 at that point in time. And then they held them on 4th down there and then scored another touchdown, the following drive after that punt. So, when you break it down, the Bengals, time of possession, they had time. They end up holding the time of possession advantage, almost 32 minutes compared to 28 minutes for Baltimore. So the Bengals offense obviously out on the field a lot longer, which is something we're not used to seeing. Usually the other team is on the field a lot longer than the Bengals defense, and this situation was different. The Ravens went out and they blew apart the Buffalo Bills in week 1. So a lot of people, again, were thinking, not a lot of people here in the area, a lot of national media were saying that the Ravens were like I said, one of the best teams in the NFL. Overall, they were that good. I didn't think it. The Bengals, Joe Flacco's got a career losing record against the Bengals anyway. So that, and he as for as good as Joe Flacco is, he's never really had a strong game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously he's had some great games against us, but like overall and and looking at everything, it's going to look a lot different compared to like Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger's had some phenomenal games against the Bengals compared to Joe Flacco. The Bengals have just seemed to have the Ravens' number for a while. Looking here at the first quarter, it was interesting, and it really got everything going here because on a 3rd and 9, Flacco, any pass incomplete up, to Michael Crabtree. You could tell they were going to try and get involved early on, and then Collins he runs right for a yard, but then the next play on 3rd and 9, Geno Atkins makes his presence known on the 3rd play of the game and sacks he sacked Flacco, forcing that punt. And then again, the Bengals, if you look in here, they had a couple. Passes that were incomplete. Andy Dalton started off. Then you had the penalty on Giovanni Bernard, which was tripping, which was declined, bringing up a 4th down. But then it was a false start. So then, pushed them back again. So it was 4th and 16. That's when they punted. But then, giving the Baltimore the ball at the 18-yard line, Flacco overthrows Crabtree, which was intercepted by Jesse Bates, his first interception in the NFL. He returned it for 21 yards. And then it just seemed to it snowballed there because then let's see, because then I'm looking here, it was things were so crazy. Let's see here, yeah. Jesse Bates returned it for 21 yards. Andy Dalton, then he was intercepted in the end zone by Eric Weddle. Came out the fact that Weddle was out of bounds. It was close. Almost a situation from week 1 where we get the interception, then Dalton turns it right back, and that was almost here. Is that in this term, obviously, things would have been flipped with Dalton throwing the pick last week and then Andrew Luck doing it the next play. Seemed like it was going to be that situation here. But again, it was overturned. Then Joe Mixon runs for 4 yards. And then you had defensive pass interference here on a 3rd and 6 after Joe Mixon ran it to the right for 4 yards. 3rd and 6 from the 12-yard line, you get a pass interference, in the end zone, no play. You get the ball at the 1 yard line, and then Joe Mixon runs, he runs to the right and gets sacked or gets brought down for a loss of 3. And that's when Andy Dalton, connects to AJ Green for the 4-yard touchdown pass. And then again, the Bengals again on that drive, that was a 4-play, 16 yards. It was a 1 penalty, so it was minute 38 drive. 4:25 of the clock had already elapsed at that point in time. Then the next drive, the Bengals come up and force another punt, and then they get the ball at the 20-yard line after the punt was down for a touchback. C.J. Uzomah for 29 yards. That was a huge play, and then Giovanni Bernard, he goes for 11. And then another pass to Gio for 8 yards, and then incomplete pass. And then right after that, A.J. Green, on that pass over across the middle, A.J. Green takes it for 32 yards and a touchdown. At that point, it's 14-0, 5-play, 80-yard drive. It was a minute 44 taken off the clock there. So, again, the Bengals, did a great job of really taking it to Baltimore and setting the tone early on. Because then, again, the Bengals forced another punt. And then the Bengals were continuing to drive here in the second quarter, or at the end of the first quarter, which flipped over. So at that point, at the end of the first, it was 14-0. The Bengals had 8:17 time of possession. They ran 9 total plays. Were 1 for 2 on third down, compared to Baltimore being 0 for 3 on third down. So that right there sets the tone immediately in the first part of the game. You're up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. You can really set yourself up for a good, good remainder of the game, which is what the Bengals did here in the second quarter. Because, again, to continue that drive, the first play was a short pass to Giovanni Bernard, only went for 1 yard. However, that was a 3rd and 13. On 3rd and 13, you get only a yard out of it. Terrell Suggs gets flagged for illegal use of hands. That's a automatic first down. So that right there really negates any bad play that you just had because of a mistake by a very, very good defensive player. And that's what happened here. And then Joe Mixon goes up the middle for no gain. And then pass to Joe Mixon for 3 yards. But then Andy Dalton to A.J. Green for 7 yards. Touchdown. That's A.J.'s 3rd touchdown of the game. It's 21-0, 12 plays, 72 yards, 1 penalty on that drive, which kept the drive alive, which is something that we're not used to seeing here. It's finally coming here on our side, finally something great on our end. It's what happened. So at that point, but then the Bengals obviously get the delay of game on the extra point. And I'm sorry, I'm just getting caught up here on the Steelers game. Still 21-7 right now, but Randy Bullock hits the extra point. It's 21-0. So you're going for it, and it's like, okay, here we go. You're feeling great. The mood and the energy in the stadium was simply incredible. That place was hopping. It was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of solid emotion in that game. It was great. It was just a fantastic first quarter, and then it started off almost immediately here in the second quarter by that big play there. Then the Ravens get the ball back, and then they were helped again on a play where it was Darqueze Dennard gets Juju Smith-Schuster, I think, just incomplete pass. But Darqueze Dennard gets flagged for defensive pass interference at the 8-yard line. No play. He's flagged on the pass to Andrews, and next thing you know, Baltimore gets the ball at the 1-yard line, and then they are helped with a touchdown because Allen goes right in for the touchdown, and it's 21-7. So you're kind of feeling a little uneasy there, but then Bengals come right back on a roughing the passer. To start off the next drive. So after it's 21-7, Bengals get the ball back. Roughing the passer penalty on Baltimore goes right on up. The Bengals continue to drive, And then, there was a couple penalties here and there on the Bengals that, the Bengals were able to convert a couple times here on third down. The Bengals had one that was a 22-yard touchdown pass, 22-yard pass from Andy Dalton to Tyler Boyd on a 3rd and 9 that the Bengals converted, and then another pass to Tyler Boyd for 17 yards on a 3rd and 8. So 2 crucial third down plays here that the Bengals were able to convert, 3rd and long plays, I should say, because the Bengals did have another 3rd and 1 that Joe Mixon was able to run for 3 yards and was able to convert. So in this drive alone, the Bengals were 3 for 3, and then they answered with a 14-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Boyd. So the Bengals, when their back was up against the wall here, and they had to, momentum was on the side of the Ravens after they get the defensive penalty and then they get the touchdown. The Bengals have to come right back, and Pittsburgh, Juju Smith-Schuster just scored. So it is now 21-13 with 6:27 to go here in the second quarter. But back to the Bengals in this drive. Again, converted 3 first downs, and next thing you know, they're back up 21 points here. So, in a play, again, a couple of the key plays were the 3rd and long passes that Andy Dalton connected to Tyler Boyd to move the chains. And the Bengals, again, 12 plays, 78 yards. Did have the one penalty, but it was a 5-minute, 22-yard drive that, got the Bengals continuously rolling here. And that was their 16th play of the game so far. But then going back, the Bengals on 3rd and 1, going back, and then the Ravens, they came back and on 4th and 4, they drove a couple plays, and on a 4th and 4, Flacco was unable to connect with Snead, giving the Bengals the ball back, but then, they were forced 3 and out after 3 bad plays. One pass was knocked down by Suggs, and then, he went deep to A.J. Green and then short to A.J. Green. Both were incomplete. So then a 3 and out, it only took a minute. It only took a couple seconds, actually, based off of the incomplete passes. Bengals gave the ball right back to Baltimore, who then drove and scored on what was another huge penalty where the Bengals once again committed a pass interference penalty in the end zone. And that's what happened here again. The Bengals, on the 5th play of the drive, it's 1st and 10 at the 31. Joe Flacco goes deep to Brown, and Dre Kirkpatrick flagged for defensive pass interference in the end zone. Dropped down to the 1-yard line. The Bengals were able to hold for a little bit, but then Flacco found Andrews for the 1-yard touchdown pass to make it 28-14 in a drive that was 7 plays, 81 yards. That took 54 seconds. Granted, a lot of that was, aided by the defensive pass interference, which is a little frustrating, when you look at it, especially when it's, when it occurs in the end zone. It's Dre Kirkpatrick, which I'm not gonna lie, 2 of those penalties I disagreed with. I didn't think that they were worthy of pass interference calls. But the NFL, it's it is what it is. But in the second quarter, you're looking. It was almost even in the time of possession game. The Bengals had it for 7:48, while Baltimore had it for 7:12. They ran 12 total plays compared to the Bengals 7. They were 0 for 1 on 4th down, which the Bengals obviously did not go for it on 4th down. But both teams were 4 for 5 on 3rd down in the second quarter, which is a huge, that's a huge moment right there. Able to convert and keep the opposing team on the field is crucial. Then the Bengals, are forced to punt on their first drive of the second half, and then the Ravens come right down and score on a 5-play, 28-yard drive to where the first play, from the 35-yard line, Flacco goes deep to Williams for 25 yards, and then they convert a couple here, a couple plays here and there, but then Justin Tucker nails a 55-yard field goal to bring it within 11 points. Again, 5 plays, 28 yards. It only went a minute and 6. The Bengals, once again, that second half seemed to take their foot off the gas to where it wasn't as wasn't as solid as we were hoping. Again, I felt the Bengals, I think at any time, need to go out there and really put it on, on the team in the second half if they have the lead, and really take it to them and end them is kind of that's how I feel that they should handle it. This case, it wasn't, it wasn't it. It didn't happen the way we had hoped. Again, the Bengals are forced to punt. And then Baltimore, and this was a crucial drive here early on in the third quarter. The Baltimore, they go for, the first play. Collins goes off the right side for 3 yards to make it 2nd and 7. Flacco, a 24-yard pass, and then gives them first down. Allen again goes to the right side for 3 yards, and then Flacco, 2 passes, one completes for 5 yards to make it a 3rd and 2. On that play, he throws incomplete. They go for it on 4th and 2. This is I think the crucial part of this game. Personally, I think this was a moment that was a game-changing moment here, all courtesy of Darqueze Dennard. Short pass over the middle to Allen. Allen goes to turn up the field. Darqueze Dennard comes in and, lays a thumping hit and drops him for a 1-yard gain. He's a yard short, and, the officials measured it. He was short. Next thing you know, turnover on downs. And that kills any momentum here. But the Bengals didn't do a good enough job in converting anything after that. They were only able to get one first down, and then they end up having to punt on a drive that took just over 2 minutes, or just a little less than 2 minutes. I apologize. But then the Ravens get the ball back, and then it ends up in a turnover and an interception by Sean Williams. So that right there, the Bengals are getting the ball back and forcing the Ravens into a bad situation. The Bengals get the ball back to in the third quarter. And at the end of 3, it's 28-17 at this point in time. The Bengals had the ball for 8 minutes and 42 seconds compared to Baltimore's 6 minutes and 18 seconds. The Bengals and Ravens both ran 4 total plays, which is crazy to think about. Both teams were 0 for 2, or the Ravens were 0 for 2, and then the Bengals were 0 for 3 on third down. So neither team was able to convert and keep the chains continuing to move on a third down. And the Ravens obviously had that crucial 4th down to where they couldn't convert there on that one. This was the Ravens' best drive here. After they forced the Bengals to punt on third down to start the second quarter, or the fourth quarter. I'm losing track here. It's only been a couple days, but to start the fourth quarter, the Ravens, 2 plays, the Bengals forcing the Bengals having to punt. Bengals are, it's basically 10 seconds into the quarter. The Ravens start off. They go 12 plays, 87 yards that took 5 minutes and 15 seconds. And that was their best drive, which ended up in a 21-yard touchdown pass from Flacco to Brown. That really, there was only one penalty on that drive, and looking at it, and it was on Baltimore. So it wasn't anything that was aided by the Bengals' inability to make things happen defensively here. It was just a great drive by the Ravens offense, and they could not get the 2-point conversion to make it 28-25. But at this point, after the 2-point conversion failed, it was 28-23. And, the Bengals were able to, to get the ball back. And this is where this team really took advantage of any situation here that arose. And they really did a good job. And I have to give the Bengals offense a lot of credit, and got to give Andy Dalton a lot of credit here. So Joe Mixon, he goes for 6 yards here. And the next play, Giovanni Bernard goes for 2 yards. So it's 3rd and 2 now. Dalton goes incomplete to Tyler Boyd. Flag is thrown. Defensive holding. Again, here's a situation now to where Baltimore gifts you a defensive penalty with an automatic first down. The Bengals continue and go 7 more plays, and then you have the 28-yard field goal by Randy Bullock to make it now 31-23. So now it's still one possession game with looks like, you're looking at about 2 or 3 minutes left in this game. About 3 minutes left in the game. Right there, you now are forcing Baltimore to go the length of the field after a kickoff and, to tie it up after they had just had their best drive. So Bengals defense is, it's time to saddle up and get going here and, strap up, be a man, and take advantage. And that's what the Bengals did. 3 plays in, Joe Flacco is sacked. Sean Williams forces the fumble. It is recovered by Jordan Willis. And the Bengals have the ball back now with 2 minutes and 42 seconds, and they are able to kill the clock. And Randy Bullock connects on a 40-yard field goal to make it 34-23 at that point. So the Ravens get the ball back with 2:25 to go and are unable to get anything going. So the Cincinnati Bengals come away with a huge 34-23 victory over the Baltimore Ravens to get their record to 2-0 on the season. And there was a couple. Bengals did come away with a couple injuries, which are not very good. Billy Price did come out of the game with a strained foot. From what it sounds like, he will be okay. He's just in a walking boot for precaution. As for Joe Mixon, he had a surgical procedure to where I guess he had there was an issue with his knee, but he should be out 1 to 3 weeks, I believe is what it is. And then Michael Johnson with a knee injury. So a couple big injuries. However, the Bengals have 10 days to recover as they go to Carolina next weekend to face the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be an interesting next couple days to see how everything plays out. But overall, again, it was a huge victory for the Cincinnati Bengals, who come away with a massive win, and they are sitting pretty here at top of the division right now. It's 21-13 with the Steelers right now looking to drive and possibly tie it up here right before halftime against the Kansas City Chiefs. So, depending on what goes on, the Bengals are still, no matter what, going to be at the top of the division heading into Week 3 against Carolina. So, that's going to be it for me here today. I'm glad I'm able to get everything up here. I've been battling a pretty good head cold. But thank you guys, as always, for your support. Check me out on Twitter at I am Chris Asbrock. And you can also check out our football page, our football Twitter account, Horsecollar FB. That's it. So thank you guys, as always, for your support. It's much appreciated. Check out feeltheimpactsports.com. I did not get a preview posted for this last game. I just, with work, I just was unable to get everything going. Time got away from me, but with an extra bit, I'll have the preview up this coming week for the Carolina game. So thank you guys, as always, for your support. Love it. Let me know what you guys think about this video. It's much appreciated. Everyone have yourselves a fantastic rest of your Sunday, and take care. Have a good one, guys. Bye.